Let's go, everyone. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the LA Poker Roundup. As always, I am your host, Ty Dobberton, along with my co-host, Derek Kwan.
What's up, everyone?
All right, it is April 8th, 2025, and this is episode 80. We are just wrapping up the LA Poker, or no, I'm sorry, that would be what we call it, the Parkwest Classic. So apparently that's what we're going to call 1Ks around town, something classic. So the Parkwest Classic just wrapped up this weekend, and we have some stories, we have some news, we have some thoughts. So we're going to talk a lot about that tournament because we were hyped up for it, man. I mean, that was the one I circled on my calendar. I know you were excited about it too. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I was a little disappointed. So we'll get to that. Aside from that, we got a couple other little plugs to do, a couple other shout outs, and a few other, it's not really an announcement, but, we're going to get a double dose of the LA Poker Roundup boys this week if you want. We'll tell you where you can find that. So stay tuned. We will give you all the details on that. All right. So, as always, we are going to start out with results. And courtesy of our number one field reporter, we have the results from the bike. So let's get started over here. So last week, we're going to do a little bit of a redo here, and by that I mean an update. The winner of the Mini Mega Millions here, Rashid Karimi, he had a little story here and a little shout out he wanted to do. He got the story to Frank, who put it in there, and I am sorry, I'm probably still going to mess up the name, even though you told Frank I'm terrible with names, but just want to read the end. So Rashid would like to dedicate his win and his banner. That is why he's doing the heart. That is why he has the cards there. Dedicate this win to his daughter, Yimang, whose birthday, I think I said that right, probably wrong, whose birthday is actually July 3rd. So that is why he selected the Jack 3 of hearts for his winner photo. So all of this,
Cool.
little commemoration. So when his daughter comes to the bike and sees the picture, she'll know and she can be embarrassed. But how sweet. That's really cool. So congratulations again. And, congratulations on your win. I hope you got your daughter something nice to remember because the picture is pretty cool, but I bet she'd appreciate something a little she can carry around with her too there, huh? All right.
Yeah, that's a very, very sweet gesture.
Yeah, no, that's definitely really cool. All right, so let's move on to some new events. So that Wednesday last week, while we were podcasting, this event wrapped up. The event number 33, the $360 Super Stack, the 20K guarantee, had 76 entries and ended in a four-way even chop, apparently. So congratulations to Naor Cohen, Gordon Fields, Andrew Kang, Gabriel Hababa. I feel like I read that name pretty frequently, so that guy's doing pretty good, I'd say. So congratulations to you for it with the even chop. And it looks like Naor is getting the trophy, and the picture. Congratulations. The rest of this final table, we'll got Eric Nason, 6th, Justin Williams, then 7th, Mark Pasquale, 8th, Andrew Lavender, 9th, Marshall Cooper. So congratulations to the final table.
Nice work.
All right. The next event that happened since our last show, we have the event 34 limit EO 8 or better. So what is that? That's stud 8 or better and Omaha 8 or better, something like that. So that only had 14 entries, unfortunately. So if you're a mixed game player, you got to get down there. These tournaments are a good way to get yourself a trophy. But anyways, 14 entries ended in a four-way chop amongst Marshall Ragier, Linda Tran, Kenneth Crowner, and the winner was Larry Tull, who took home about 2,400 plus the trophy. So congratulations to all four of you guys, and especially to Larry for the win.
Yeah, and for all the mixed game players that are out there that didn't go for whatever reason, obviously, you have life things going on, but try to get out there and support these events because such low turnouts is not a good sign for these casinos to keep running these things. So
I know,
make
right?
sure you go out there and support the mixed games.
And especially with Mo spending less time in the room, it's mixed games. He was one of the big mixed game supporters, so definitely need to support with your entries there. All right, so event number 37 was Heroes. So that is unlike the quickly gaining popular one where they mix in triple draw. We've got Heroes, which is Limit Hold'em, Stud 8 or better, Raz, Omaha 8 or better, and Stud. So they had 25 players, ended in a heads-up chop between Gina Hecht and Harry Danielian. So they each got over 4,000, with Harry taking home the trophy and getting the first place. So congratulations. Also in this top four getting a nice payday is Linda Tran again. and Shirley Rosario. So maybe this is the reason people aren't playing, man. If I see those names at the top all the time, I may just not want to enter myself.
It's a bunch of killers. But you know, you can show up and play with them. I'm sure you're going to learn a lot just via osmosis at the table.
That's true. You start with a fair number of chips. Just pay attention, right?
Yeah.
Love it. All right, so let's hop into the big event of the weekend, the Parkwest Classic. This guy had the 500K guarantee. This was the $1,100 tournament, and also had the big double bag bonus, which is a bit controversial. We'll get to that later. So these were the day 2 bags. Our buddy Rick Meshemil came into the day 2 as a big chip lead, 1.1 million, and he was able to take that into the final table. So here is the final table of that event. That event got just exactly, pretty much, like maybe, 5 entries over or less over the guarantee. And the final table here is a real who's who of local blasters, and a lot of our local pros at this table, including Mr. Sloth here. The final table was Rick Meshemil, Sammy Beshahead back from France to take our money again. Mr. Rob Gill, tournament's over. I don't think I can jinx him now. Rudy Cervantes, Sohail Khalili, Nisar Qureshi, Alex Farahi. I really do think I say his name every single week at these things, so what the heck, man? I'm going to have to... And I couldn't beat him on day 1. It was insane. And Paul Yi and Vong Do. So congrats to that final table. How did it all shake out, you might ask? With this man right here. Look at that good-looking fella, Mr. Sohail Baby Bowser Khalili. 93 grand for first place, no chop, take it down. He entered the final table as the shortest stack, and took it down. Went from worst to first, got himself a banner. This picture going on the banner, courtesy of our number 1 field reporter, Frank. Way to go. Long overdue. Really great to see Sohail get himself a banner up on that wall.
Yeah, nice work, buddy. Good player. Yeah, what a stacked final table.
Yeah.
Disappointed I didn't make it.
Yeah, I was disappointed I didn't make it too. I was a long ways away, though. You were much closer. So the way this thing shook out, Sol taking first place. Second place was, what was this guy? They call him Nick or something. Third place, Alex Farahi. Fourth place, Rick. Fifth place, Rob. Sixth place, Sammy. Seventh place, Paul. 8th place, Rudy, and 9th place, Vong. And I'm skipping the last names because, man, I really do say all these guys' names every freaking week. You should know them by now. Put some respect on their names, that kind of thing. So way to go, guys. And if you want to see a neat little interview, go over to the Parkwest poker page, and Larry has a nice little interview, part 1 and 2, with Saul, who doesn't get out to play as much as he used to get, used to be able to play live, and it's cool to see him spike one despite that. Great. So the other thing that started up is, of course, the Mega Millions, the big final event of the series. So we've got that, and somehow in this big Mega Millions on the first day, it looks like there were already 2 people who bagged twice in the first day. So on the very first day, we have Mark Robinson bagging the most chips for that first day, and we have Evgeny Serenov and Jordan Reed getting double bag bonuses already. So, and also Eric Lindgren in the field, just in case you thought this thing was going to be soft. Probably not going to be soft. All right. So over at the Garden, it's going to take me forever to get used to this. Over at Commerce, they once again killed it on their weekend tournament. Their 25K guarantee on Saturday drew 220 entries for a $46,200 prize pool. That is amazing. So cool. I'm going to be there this Saturday. Did I go last week or 2 weeks ago? I went 2 weeks ago. It was over 40K then. This is a great event. So they're crushing it. Unfortunately, they have not posted the results in time. They do have pictures. We have Mr. Donald Bolt putting up a little vlog from, I believe, last week's final table chop. But for this week, pictures aren't up yet. You'll have to go and check that out. Also happening at the Commerce, I will save that, actually. They're doing their hours challenge in the cash game area again, but we'll talk about that during the roundup. All right, so that is all the results we have for you round, which is kind of disappointing because there are so many tournaments happening every weekend, right? We've already talked about Hollywood Park. They don't report as a rule, right? We've talked about Lucky Lady. They have events. They are trying to get mixed game events in. I heard there was a little bit of a little bit of unhappiness over at Lucky Lady this weekend. I hear that the mixed game tournament they're supposed to have on the weekends, the Boss tournament, runs kind of our local reg Sean Yu runs the whole thing, and I guess if he's not there, it just doesn't go, and he wasn't there this weekend, so that was not well communicated to the community, so that's awkward.
Yeah.
But also, no results there either. You have to push and beg and plead and press to get results put up there. Also, more no results happening now from the Gardens. So yes, the Gardens does still have their daily tournaments, and yes, they are still pretty good from what we hear. We've got our boy Jeremy, the Gardens crusher, still crushing it down there. He went, congratulations Jeremy, chopping it up last weekend, I believe, on, I forget which day, was it Saturday? He says they're still getting pretty decent fields, maybe 20% smaller than before, but that means that instead of 300 people, they're getting like 250, right? So not a big deal. Hey, yo, Brad, welcome. And No Way, thank you for resubscribing. Make sure everyone is checking, guys. Make sure you hit subscribe and like, and make sure you check. Apparently, they are unsubscribing people. I don't know why. We better get 2 subs if they make you hit it again. So these results, man, really bring a lot of kind of prestige and bring a lot of interest to your tournaments, guys. Like, tournament directors post. I mean, maybe do a little informal poll, but like guys like Jeremy, guys like us, it's a thing we think about and we really like it. And tournament players tend to much more than cash players are playing for the glory. And if it's not getting posted and there's no way to see it, there's not that much glory to get. So kind of, you kind of lose interest. You play at these places for practice and then you move on,
Yeah, scoreboards are important. Player of the year type of things are important. So those should be good signals to you.
Yeah.
And if tournament directors and floor people and supervisors are running up against like budget issues with like your executives or something, or they're not giving you the green light to go do it, let me know if you need help presenting something to your higher ups, because honestly, I don't really feel like this thing should take you too much time. You're already, writing down the results somewhere anyway.
You have
right?
the results. You have them.
Yeah, and honestly, Hen and Mob can just pull it off of somewhere. So if you just point them there, it's like sending them an email and being like, "Here are the results. Go post it." That's literally all you have to do, and they'll just go do it. So that is when we think about, I don't know, things that are high value and high leverage and extremely low effort. This is like by far the biggest thing you can do for tournament players. It's one of the things that's going to get people excited, to get people to come and want to play for the lowest amount of effort possible. It's like not zero cost, but it's like almost zero cost for you to go do it. It's like literally sending an email to support at mob whatever it is. So yeah, just let me know if you need help with some justification. But it seems really silly if the higher ups of the casinos are like, we don't care about this or something. Like, what does that mean? It takes you 5 minutes.
Yeah, literally one email or one post. And also, I forgot to mention that the weekend tournaments at Commerce were up in the ballroom last weekend. I'm not sure if that's going to be a permanent thing, but man, that would be cool if those weekend events were always up in the ballroom. I see Mr. Bolt in the chat, DJ. So if you know, let us know in the chat if they're always going to be in the ballroom from now on. That would be cool. I know that the Saturday one's so big, they overflow so far, that does help a lot. I mean, they get over 200 players. You need some space for that, man. And the other thing is, like you mentioned, these Player of the Year, like we're doing our Player of the Year, right? And like I said, hey, let's just do it. Let's throw it out there, see what happens. And the number of people who talk about it, who mention it, I know Rick's a big fan. I mean, even people we wouldn't have thought would care at all, like Paul, Paul, and then the other locals, they care enough to talk about it all the time with us. And unfortunately, the bike just got its results up midweek here, like maybe 3 or 4 days ago, and I have been too busy to finish putting them all in to update the Player of the Year. But I will have that updated by, I'd say I'll have that updated by later this weekend, so we'll be able to see how things have been shaken out and see where people are landing. Luckily, Derek chopped a quantum, so it won't count. So there's still hope I can surpass him with a good showing here at the end, good strong push at the end. But that would have probably put him out of reach if that wasn't a quantum.
I know a lot of people did well in unqualified tournaments for this POY, but I feel like between the WPTs and all the quantums, it hurts a little bit because I went pretty deep in a lot of those.
Yep. Which,
it is what it is.
I'll shed a single tear for you here. Oh, boo-hoo. This is where you grab all the money and say, that's my Player of the Year. Right?
We still have to get that trophy together.
Yeah.
I want to see what this trophy looks
We
like.
do, we do. We have to buy. We got to buy a trophy. We got to put some stuff out there. We'll have
I'll
one.
ask Jeff. We'll ask Jeff how much these glowy things are. Maybe we can get one of these.
No, I don't think I don't want to give one out that's the same as what everyone else gives out. We need to do something
Fine, fine,
unique. It needs to
fine,
be
fine.
flashy. All right.
Yeah.
So speaking of results and the tournament results, I got no more Player of the Year points this weekend. I completely bricked this thing. And honestly, man, it hurts because I think this might be the first LA 1K that I've bricked this year. I think I've cashed probably I think I've cashed almost all the 1Ks going back to last I don't even know last fall. So this one hurts. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Fired hard though. I tried, but man, that field was not soft, and we'll get to that soon. It was a tight field, and I don't mean tight players. I mean there weren't a lot of extra players. There weren't a lot of casual players around. But how did you do, Derek?
Yes, I made another deep run. I'm kind of like thinking back through the year. I feel like I've made, other than maybe one or two tournaments, like the day twos of almost like all the majors that had a day two. So it's pretty exciting to be able to do that. Um, my day one, I kind of agree with you that it did seem like pretty good player heavy. It was condensed, like
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yep.
The field themselves were like pretty small. Um,
Yeah, Friday morning when we got there, right? I mean, there were only
yeah,
like 25 people there through the whole first two
right,
hours, and it was only like
right,
45 people there through the next 2 hours. So,
right.
and yeah, so if you got a bad table, you're stuck with it. And if someone busted, I literally would have, I think, over 50% of the busts at my tables in those early rounds, they come right back to the same seat because there just weren't that many seats open.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had a couple of pretty good pots and put myself in like pretty good position around maybe like 200, 150, 200K or so. Then around that, down to the final two tables, I was able to make a little bit of a run at it. I had some like really big stacks on my freaking table. It was pretty brutal. Um, I made, I just made two ridiculous folds. One of them, I folded trip kings with a three kicker against a very big bet on the turn from the chip leader who wasn't playing that loose actually.
Hmm.
And he's definitely a capable player. I played with him a lot before. He's definitely a capable player, but this spot felt very, very strong. And I mean, it's just a ridiculous fold with trip kings, but I made it because it just did feel like I was beat. Um, when I kind of run back, like, what his bluffs are, there weren't a lot. And then the way that he sort of bet it, and just the fact that I might have trip kings to try to blow me off my hand seems ridiculous. So, I mean, if he did blow me off the best hand, then, kudos to him. But that was a pretty crazy fold. And I made another big pre-flop fold too. So anyway, it was, yeah, I was playing very, like, not tight, but it was almost like concerned. I was playing like very concerned all the way
Yeah, I
through,
wish
but it,
I'd played a little more concerned the one time I got chips in my million bullets. I only got any kind of stack to work with once.
yeah, it,
Anyways.
it was odd. It was like the Spidey sense had gone up or something. And I'm not sure if I was just getting cooler like constantly or something, and that's why my Spidey sense was going off. But yeah, it was. But I was able to get through day two with a pretty good stack. I was around like 380. I was feeling pretty good about it. Yeah, then my day two, from actually the minute I sat down, I was like really card dead, for like hours and hours and hours. The hands that I did play, I pretty much got out of line, raising, like a jack 10 off or pocket threes from like under the gun, even though we were eight-handed, just to try to like make something happen. I, three bet a couple of hands in late positions that, just like garbage hands that just try to win a couple of pots.
Oh,
And
quick
even
aside,
most of,
quick aside. Was day
yeah,
two purposely eight-handed again?
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, yeah, it was fantastic. Um, yeah, so, yeah, and even the pots that I was sort of scraping through, it was mostly just like of getting a full pre-flop or, getting one C bet through. So I was like winning small pots when I was like playing any hands, and then just constantly losing and losing and losing. And I bled off like 30% of my stack without really anything happening after about 3 hours. It was pretty brutal. Um, there was a hand with Rob, which I probably misplayed a little bit. He'd come to our table, he had a pretty big stack. He had raised in the hijack, and I was on the button with King 10 suited with about 22 bigs. Looking it up later, it does look like, this is easily a raise or a jam. I ended up just flat calling it instead of probably going for the raise, especially against like Rob's range. It's something that I need to do, but I think always in the back of my head, like Rob will just sort of wake up. with the hand whenever I do that, or he'll just make some like ridiculous call thinking I'm bluffing and then just kind of smash me, like like, with a come from behind kind of hand. But um, I actually ended up flopping a flush draw. He bet the flop. I called. The turn was like some sort of break, and he checked. And at that point, I just didn't want to get check raised off of my hand that had pretty good equity. So I ended up checking back. So I really misplayed this hand badly. I probably had multiple instances where she could have taken the hand down. And then the river one check check, and he won with ace high. He's like ace three offsuit or something. So that actually put me down into like the danger zone of like 16-ish BBs. So that was a very, very significant hand actually that probably ended up having a significant impact on the rest of my tournament. After that, there was another hand with Rob. So Rob, I guess
Oh
was the
boy.
theme.
Rob
Yeah,
the Rock or Action Rob or Rob Wild Gill? What? Which version were we at?
we were. You know what? I wouldn't. He wasn't Wild Gill. He was probably somewhere in the middle.
Oh man.
He raised in the cutoff, and I called out of the big blind with Queen three suited. Um, oh no, sorry, Queen deuce suited, and
Oh,
I
don't
might have
talk to me
actually
about
been able.
Queen Deuce suited. Ugh.
Yeah. I might have actually been able to fold this hand since we were down to about like three. It was four tables, but I want to say it was like 3.5 tables. We were just like really close to breaking for three tables. Um, the flop came basically like all middle cards. Oh no, actually it paired the board. It was like 8-8-3 or something. It went check check, which was a little bit surprising. Then a turn was a deuce. I check and then he just jammed. But the deuce basically turned a backdoor flush draw. Um, the hand made absolutely no sense to me. It looked very clearly like he just had turned a draw or something, and now he's just trying to like blow me off the pot. But it seems so sketchy calling with deuces. It's very possible that he might have been playing some hand tricky, but I probably overthought this hand just like I did with the king 10 suited and ended up folding. He ended up flipping over king 9 of hearts, so he did have a flush draw. Probably would have hit it on me on the river anyway. But basically, um, being so card dead all the way through that day too, and then those two hands basically crippled me down to like crumbs. Not crumbs. I think I still had like 12 BBs and we broke for three tables. And now it's all like coming back to me, all the hands that happened. Then Alex raised under the gun. Sammy flatted middle position. I had ace jack offsuit in the small blind with 12 bigs. And this was super tough. I really wasn't sure what to do with this hand. I felt like calling seemed pretty bad. I felt like jamming felt very spewy. So I ended up just folding. I checked it later and it said that this is a call, but I feel like that this hand would have just been pretty bad as a call. It was probably just been torching money. Um, Alex ended up betting flop, betting turn, and Sammy folded. It looked like he had a pretty strong hand, but Alex is obviously a very aggressive, tricky player, so who knows? Um, then
That was Avila. Which Alex?
Fry.
Fry. Oh, that it was late. It was late. There was just a couple people
Oh yeah,
left. Okay, okay.
yeah,
Yeah, Fry. Yeah, of course.
yeah. This is three tables
Yep.
left. And then basically I made a huge mistake on my bust out hand. It basically that was my big blind, small blind went through, and then it was I was under the gun. I got dealt fours, and now I had 11 BBs left. And I just went for the shove. This is a fold, and I didn't realize like how much of a fold this was. But when you get down to basically three tables in a tournament, like I didn't realize like how big the ICM ramifications were. Now that I
Sure.
looked at it, and it's actually for the last 2 days, all I've been doing is just drilling. So I feel like I'm just like I can't make a mistake like that again. That late in a tournament. I shoved the fours. Actually, Troy Lombardo was under the gun one, and he called with tens and busted me from the tournament. So really frustrating to finish 23rd. I feel like I should have gone way deeper. Just making mistakes like that just seems like unacceptable. Yeah, again, in the chat saying Rob Gill, King 10 suited, but yeah, I agree with you. I didn't really know what I was thinking there. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I was just like off my game on the day or something.
Yeah.
But it just I was not making good decisions on the
Well,
day too. Yeah.
it's unfortunate, but I mean, I always prefer. I would prefer to have a day like that where I could say I made some mistakes. I can go and learn from this. I can get better, as opposed to the days where like you just fold for 3 hours and then you get jacks and the other guy has kings and you're out. It's like
Right, right.
I would much prefer a day where I can point at this hand and that hand and I should have done that different and I knew that and I because it's
And
like,
even with all that, I mean, to finish 23rd, I was very fortunate to make it as far as I did with all the stuff that was going on. So glad to have to made that.
yeah,
That's right, Troy. It was pretty
yeah.
standard play for you.
Oh, Troy was the one who got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, uh, with all of that, it was still a pretty, it was still a pretty well run, well structured tournament overall, I'd say. It was still like it had so much potential. We really was really excited for this tournament, which is why we were really disappointed because it barely made the guarantee. In fact, at the night flight on Friday, someone was very close to betting me. Like I was 100% confident it was not going to overlay at all and that it would get well into the 550s. And someone wanted to bet that it was going to overlay. And I almost, yeah, we didn't get a bet down because I don't know this guy. And, but almost overlaid. I would have been sweating. And it
Yeah.
is just shocking because
It's unbelievable.
LA, we shouldn't be short of money, right? Like we've got plenty of money. And, when we talk about reasons why later, I feel like that's not the excuse because I mean I fired a bunch of times. I know I can look and point at several people that I know fired well over 6 or 7 times just from watching them go back and forth, right? So, I don't think you'll mind me saying, but like certain very very wealthy individuals that were playing, I saw them go back to the window way more times than me. So what the heck was going on, right? So like that's kind of our big topic next. I feel like that might be why some of our buddies like Gold Troy are in here watching. So we want to talk about what the heck happened, and we have a lot of theories, right? So let's start with the poll you ran, right? So while this was happening, and while we were kind of looking at a low turnout, you brought up a poll on Twitter asking folks, hey, if you are the type of person who plays 1K tournaments down in SoCal here, or you like to try and Saturday and et cetera, what the heck is going on? Here's a poll. Did you not play because you didn't know about this? There was a better event elsewhere, because you dislike that double bag bonus, or because you're saving money for the Mega Millions, the final event, right? So here's the poll. You got 116 votes, and it's pretty overwhelming. The two of your four choices, the two that came out on top. The dislike double bag bonus was nearly 50% of the votes, followed closely by didn't know about it at over 30%, 32%, right? So those are extremely significant out of those 100, right? And we're not talking about a ton, but like, look, if at 50-ish% of 116, if we're talking about 60 people there, and some of the people that voted did play, but let's say that half of them that answered this were kind of honest, they're still talking about 30 people who didn't play, who maybe would have played if not for that. And 30 people, when you're
Yeah,
talking about this tournament, that's 30K in the prize pool. If they enter twice, that's
yeah.
60K in the prize pool. That's a
And
big difference.
it's still basically a tie for the top answer.
Yep, about didn't
My
know
my
about it.
thesis and my theory before this was actually was a little bit more of a marketing problem, and just people didn't know about it. It
Yeah.
felt very quiet, and I
Hmm.
actually had said it to Jeff. The 1K at the Gardens when Kevin was there
Yep.
when Gardens was having those, it's always the marquee, the big blazing 500K guarantee, 1K buy-in, right?
Yep.
Like a whole big like all their marketing powers behind it is the flagship thing on their flyers. And then even for the commerce that has like the huge LAPC, it has the 10K main. They pretty much promote that 1K too. So it was one of those things that felt a little bit buried in the schedule, and I really didn't feel like there was a lot of buzz about it and people were talking about it.
Yeah. To that effect, I think there's a number of things having to do with marketing that could be at play there, right? So if I'm going to talk about marketing, the Commerce LAPC, when we were there, we were talking to lots of people about it. There were a lot of people there who were there and didn't play a lot of tournaments simply because they know LAPC happens every year. They know LAPC is a big deal. They don't know anything about this particular LAPC. They probably couldn't tell you that it used to be WPT and it's not anymore, but they know, hey, January, February, there's LAPC at Commerce. If I want to play some poker, I want to play a tournament, that's a good one. That's like the biggest one, right? Like that, they just have that mind share, right? They just have that marketing from being there every year for 27 years or whatever. And I bet there's not a single non-reg who would be able to tell you in March it's winning on the green at the bike. Sorry, for one thing, I've always thought that name is stupid. Like that's not. It doesn't have a ring to like Legends of Poker in June or whatever. No, right after the World Series. That has a great name. Winning on the green with the weird apostrophe and the like. it seemed like they were trying to get funny with like the St. Patrick's Day ish timing of it one time, and they just stuck with it. Like, what is on the green? There's nothing green about the bike. The bike isn't a green thing. Now they just installed all these fake
That's
hedges
okay.
inside, but like
That's super funny.
the bike's
That
not
that
known
name's
for
been
being
there.
green, right? So like, there's not a
The name
golf
that
course there.
the name's been there for so
Yeah,
long. I
it's
never even
money.
thought about it, but it's a good point that it is a weird name.
Yeah, like name it something Parkwesty, right? Like name it something like give it a snappy name. Winning on the green, like that doesn't sound like a poker tournament. That sounds like a golf tournament, you know.
Yeah.
But anyways, like that's just. But like it's important for marketing, right? It's like, hey, man, there's this big tournament series coming up. It's the winning on the green. Oh, well, where is it? It's it's like you just all these things just don't line up. Anyways, and the other thing is the bike is known for quantums, right? The bike, if you do know anything about poker tournaments and you've ever tried to play a tournament and you have, the people that are like halfway knowledgeable, they know the bike does quantums. So if you tell them, oh, there's a big tournament, the bike, everyone that knows that if that means anything to you, you'll think, oh, it's a quantum, right? This wasn't a quantum, and people just don't know. Let alone they didn't know that it was between, and you sandwich it like you said between two other big marquee events, two other big quantums, and of course they're going to think it's a quantum. And when they see that the guarantee is very small, of course they're going to think it's not very interesting. So, marketing wise,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they just lack a lot. And the same with the Gardens, right? They only do one big, that is their only one big event of the year, and Kevin did a great job pushing that as their one big event, right?
And this is a point I kept making over and over again for a long time is that people don't pay that much attention and people are generally not detail oriented. So you have to be very careful with your advertising and marketing to make things very easy for people to understand. Don't make them guess at like what is or is not a quantum. It's things I've actually even said to Ty. Don't make people guess which events are in the POI or not. And he's like, well, it's too much for me to handle. I'm like, fine, well, it is what it is. But that you just can't put that sort of cognitive load on people. If people start getting allergic to quantums and they associate quantums to the bike, then they're going to associate all your events to the bike and are not going to want to parse your schedule looking through all your events trying to find out which ones are quantums or not.
Yep.
And then they still see the double back bonuses, so they're like, this looks like a quantum to me.
Yep.
Right? And they just don't come, right? And after that, after a little while, they're just going to stop reading because there's so I think you have to be very, very careful about the impact in which the number one, the stuff that you're running, but then number two, the way that you're marketing it has an impact on people. And I think the quantums, what's interesting though, the quantums still do like really well generally. So it's kind of hard to like say that, they're like super bad or something, but it definitely seems to have had a negative effect on the 1K.
Yeah, but and to our point with the marketing, the bike is known for quantums, right? The bike is known for this Mega Millions quantum, so people know what to expect, right? They're like, the bike's having a series. Yeah. All right, well, let me see. Can I take this much time off to play a week-long Mega Millions and try? I think I can, and I'll budget for that. So they know, and they're planning for it, right? So,
Yeah.
let's the other piece of it, right? That the other quantum piece you mentioned, the double bag bonus. Let's quick kind of zip through some of the comments and responses to your poll and kind of basically reiterate what people think of this bag bonus and give our thoughts here. So, Brad here in the comments said he didn't come because of travel. That's totally reasonable. Jared said he played, but he voted he hates that double bag bonus. 8K is insane, and that is insane. We'll talk about the math on that,
crazy.
But it's an $1,100 entry, 8,000 for a double bag. Holy cow, that's bad. Grant
Final
Man,
table money.
yeah. Grant Man, I'm not sure if he's joking or not, but he said was gonna play, but oh man, that bag bonus, he hates it. Another guy moved. Xander hates the double bag bonus. Eddie, double bag bonus is insane, outrageous. Rob, he final tabled and he hates the double bag bonus. Hastings, he didn't play because he was busy, but he hates the double bag bonus. So it probably made him not like so much. Let's see. So, yep, Yang Lu also double bag. So really, almost everybody in your comments that left a comment hates the double bag bonus, right? So I don't think that is, and look, it works for the quantums because, as I've complained about before, right? Quantums are a week and a half long poker festival disguised as a single tournament, right? You get 10, 20 flights where you can try and double bag, right? So that like makes a double bag bonus a real thing for a lot of players. But look at this. If there were only 5 double baggers, I think, and it took $40,000 out of a $500,000 prize pool out. That's wild. 5 double bags only, and that took
And almost 10%. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, and that took someone said how much it was like. What is that? 40? It's like 8% of the prize
Oh,
pool or something
okay,
like that.
but like 8%, yeah.
Yeah, just 5 double bags. That's it. That's close to
Yeah.
10% of the prize. Holy cow! What are you doing? And
Yeah.
look, all those people that said they weren't interested. Um, imagine. So we actually who was it? Someone did the math. One of the floor guys or one of the staff did the math on the double bag bonus from a while back when they had an egregious one. It was like a cheaper one, but it was like a 300 entry, but it was like a $1,500 double bag or something. And they literally counted up, and it was a longer one, right? So it was an entire week of day one flights. They literally said, okay, I'm going to do the math. I'm going to start counting. Anyone who's bagged, I will count for every time after that, every flight after their bag they played, and assume it was 100% because of the double bag bonus, right? And they counted them all up, and it actually came out to be a net negative. All the double bag bonuses, if you considered every single person who played more than once in that event only did it, which isn't true, only did it for the double bag bonus, the tournament prize pool for that day 2 and 3 lost money. Now, of course, those are entries. That's net negative for us, but the house gets raked. So for the house, that's a good thing, which is fine. But like if you're talking about pure numbers and pure unique numbers, right? And this is the other thing the quantums do, right? The bikes, in my mind, the bikes business model has always been squeeze your regs as much as possible. The people who are your regs, the people who are the ones you're going to play the most, go deep instead of wide, right? I have this prize pool. I'm going to make them play as much as possible, and this is a good way to do it, right? But look, when you're doing this event, there were only 3 days of day ones, only 3 days, period, which means that realistically, for people who aren't, and then we'll talk about this in a second too. The structure just so happened to be exactly perfect that you could play the morning flight and then jump into the night flight, and it's because there was half-hour levels for pre-reg. If they were full 40 minutes the whole way through, and they started at the same times, you wouldn't have made it. But we'll get back to that in a minute. There's only 3 days, right? Only 3 days. So realistically, on the first day, like 11 people bagged, not even, something like that, which means there's only 11 people that can possibly get 2 more bags, in theory. And then on the second day, there was not a huge turnout. So now we have like 30 people total that could get another bag on the final day. Like, who are you catering to? That means that's 30 people that this double bag bonus is appealing to. Whereas we just said, like, if your poll numbers are conservative, that's 30 people that hate the double bag bonus and didn't want to play because of it, right? And there are other people, and there's probably more who would be way more interested without that bonus, right? And the people who were playing, only 35 people were even capable of getting a double bag bonus by the end day. So
Yeah.
everyone else wasn't playing for that. So like, what are
This
you
is the exact
doing?
same. This is the exact same point I've been making almost everywhere. For everything else is like catering to not working regs, which are your biggest segment of people, not trying to target the wide net of new play. When I say new players, it could be players that don't play poker very much, or people who play poker just don't happen to play at the bike. You're not casting your net at those people. Um, Also, when you think about the double bags, like when you see how the pros and the grinders that you actually are targeting, how they're reacting to it, um, that should sort of tell you that maybe, the people that you're trying to serve are not actually like that into the thing. And maybe psychologically, this might have worked when the quantums first came out and people weren't really thinking about this very carefully, right? But now everyone understands that double bag bonuses take out of day 2. And the reason why people are playing is they're not playing for double bag bonuses, they're playing for day 2. So to them, it's like money is being taken out of their prize pool for day 2, right? And it's especially egregious for people who can't play a lot of flights, right? Um, and this is the majority of people, and I think this is what's been slowly grinding players and players out of these tournaments. It's because of the mentality. You like, you really have to be very precise with who you're trying to serve with this.
Yeah. And the thing about this structure, right, is that this is a 1K. We at the Gardens at Commerce, when they did their 1Ks, we knew what to expect. Like, hey, okay, they're going to be 40-minute levels the entire way through from start to finish. It's going to be a nice structure, pretty good structure. That's how it's going to be. Here at the bike, the early levels were half hour long for both flights. For the night flights, it was a half hour long the whole way through, which is reasonable to get through, at night there. But to go from the shorter amount to the longer amount, that really makes it feel like they're treating this like a cheaper buy-in tournament, right? And it's like, hey, this is a over 1K. This is supposed to be kind of like our nice tournament, right? So to treat it that way, and like I said, one of the side effects of that was to make it the morning flights bagged at pretty much exactly the end of late reg for the evening flight, so you could play both. Was that on purpose? If it was, great timing, and I think it might have been because why not? Like in you should the morning flight should have just been 40 minutes all the way through. Somebody who's going to pay 1100 and looks and says, "Hey, this structure is," especially someone who's not really sophisticated, will look at this and say, "Hey, this feels like a worse structure than the 50-50. I got more chips. The day one structure is basically the same. Okay, so the levels got a little shorter later on in the day, but I had 50K, and then day two was 50-minute levels in the 50-50. What is this? Why am I paying 1100? Right? So that's kind of rough messaging there because you're not going to explain to a rec why this actually is better because you didn't skip these levels or something, right? And then the other thing about the way you have that structured is the night flight isn't even really like committing to be a turbo so you can get out. And then the morning flight, the message you're sending by doing that half hour levels is just, hey, I want you guys to bust and I'm going to end reg so that you can get into the night flight. Like we're just trying to squeeze more buy-ins out of you, right? And the other thing is that I got a really interesting comment from, there he is, Anthony Patessa. I was just about to mention the comment you sent us. We've talked about quantums and the dangers and the problems with collusion, potential collusion right before, so we won't cover that. That's just built into everyone who hates the double bagging. And as we all know, the bigger the bonus, the worse it is. But one of the things that Anthony said that was really interesting to say, hey, he didn't want to play the night ones because he thought they'd end too late, which means, hey, if you're going to do a night event, maybe you make it even faster because everyone understands you want to go to bed. But the other thing was, look, when you cater to a very reg-heavy crowd, when you cater to the better players, right? I mean, like, the table we played on Friday morning, right? That was like two guys with banners on the wall. Alex Farahi, who's final tabled everything this year. I was there. You were there. You got pulled off later on. Fausto came in, and Adam Swan came in. Like this table was super solid and crazy good, and there were only like 5 tables in the room, right? So of course, day 2 is also full of all that. So when you cater to these people, when you cater to all of the best players in LA and the ones who think they're going to win the most, day 2 gets full of those people. So all the folks who are on the fringes, so a 1K, you probably won't get as many people wandering the casino, hey, I want to try this poker thing, right? But you're going to get the ones who have been playing those events. Maybe they've been watching our show. Maybe they've been watching results. And they're going to have a rough idea of who the really good players are, right? So when they walk in here, and even Anthony, he's a professional, and he still said, hey, after a day or two of the day ones, I looked at the day 2 list, and that looked like a tough field. I didn't even feel like playing. So how's that going to encourage these other players who are trying to take a shot at the 1K, right? Like, hey, why don't you take a shot at this field? Why don't you look at the day 2 list? There's only 30 people in it, but 20 of them have over $1.5 million in earnings, and they're the best players in LA. Why don't you jump in there? It's like, that's not great marketing either. You need to get the new players in so that the new players can make it through, so that the day 2 is softer, which will also make more pros want to play, which will make more new people want to play, because then someone like, we love that Saul got on the banner, but we also love when someone totally unexpected gets on the banner, right? Like Chris Moneymaker got more people into it than what Sammy Farha would have gotten, is what they say, right? So that's
there's no smoking gun here, and I think that one is I think that one is definitely impactful, but probably a little bit more in the minor side. Because I feel like when we're talking about the wide net of people out there, the thing they're probably not checking is like the day 2 sheet or something, but they are definitely not coming for a specific reason.
Yep.
Yeah, and Anthony making that point too about the chip dumping. That's another big one. So I think in general, double bag bonuses tend to incentivize some amount of chip dumping, and chip dumping sounds evil. And at its most evil, it's like 2 people in the same stable of horses, right? And one of them tries to dump all of their chips to the better player so that that better player does better for the stable. That's like the most egregious form of chip dumping. But then there's almost like friendly chip dumping. You've probably seen it. You've probably even almost done it. There's somebody with one big blind at your table and you've all been chatting and having a good time, and he's going to make $3,000 if he can just make day 2, and there's one person left to bust, right? And then you let him have a walk, right? That's chip dumping. That's really bad, actually. And to give a very specific example, Frank Lynn, number one field reporter, also a very good friend of mine, he was late on that day one with me.
I was going
We
to tell
had
the
three
story. I'm
people.
glad you're doing it instead.
Actually, no, go ahead, Ty. You tell the story.
Good. All right. All right. So I'm sitting at home because I busted because I didn't get anywhere in any of these stupid flights. Or actually, I think I was driving at the time because I was driving home, and Frank had already bagged the morning flight on Friday. So Frank had bagged the morning flight, and Max late regged into the evening flight, just like we said you can do. He brought a couple folks with him, as he's wont to do, and Derek was in there too. So I get this message, and and Frank says, 3 away from bagging, jam 4 or 3.5 big blinds. Derek calls me blind. Derek called me without looking at his cards and knocked me out and kept me from making $8,000. And I said,
Yeah, it was an $8,000 bubble, and like Frank's my friend, you know what I mean? And if I were, being not nice or, to the rest, not nice to Frank, but not nice to the rest of the field, I could have let Frank, have that
Yeah.
pot, right? I could have folded some really strong hand and nobody would have known,
Yep.
right?
I mean, you could have looked at your hand and folded a weak hand, but still, you're supposed to call.
Right.
Like you had probably
Yeah.
40 big blinds, and you're supposed to
Yeah.
call with any two if
Yeah.
you're the big blind.
I'm not a player that calls blind. So I mean, it's just in,
Yeah.
in a spot where I'm not really folding any two cards, like I have to call there. So I'm just gonna call.
Yeah.
Because I want the game to be up and up, right?
Yep.
We want to be not doing kind of shady things.
Absolutely.
So I basically snap called him. I busted him out of the tournament. I felt really bad, and actually I bad beat him. He jammed with like king 7, and I think I ended up having like king 3 or something,
Yeah.
and I like turned to 3 on him and busted him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like this is the type of thing that the double bags also incentivize, is this sort of soft play chip dumping, and it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because there are a extremely not insignificant number of folks who would definitely be trying to keep each other in right there, if not
Yep.
for the evil quote unquote reasons, but just because they're friends, just because you're my friend, I want you to win money, and it's like that attitude. We talked about it before when we were kind of warning about, hey, floors need to make sure people are speaking English. That attitude is nice, but it's cheating, right?
Yeah, there's nobody that will root harder for Frank to win $8,000 than me. Nobody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we
But
all
this
would,
is
but
just,
you got to earn it.
but in a situation like that, yeah, I'm just gonna play poker. That's why I'm there for.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And there's nobody in the world that I like busting more than Derek. So this is.
This is true, and he does it a lot.
All right. So other ideas, right? So other ideas for what this could be is, I think that a very real issue with this event, and this happened. So I took a look back, and last year during the Winning on the Green, they also ran a 1100 in between the Mega and the Mini. And I think another big reason that this has trouble is simply kind of player fatigue, right? So the recs that are out there, I think it's a big problem that for this event, not for, not in general, but for this event, that it is compared to the 1 million guarantee and the 1.5 million guarantee, which are last week and next week. A 500K guarantee, when you look at the schedule and you're thinking about playing this month, like that almost looks like, oh, I guess I'll skip that one, because fatigue is a real thing. Also kind of a chance to rest your bankroll, so to speak, right? If you get whacked three weeks in a row, you don't want that. You get whacked, you want to take a week off, a breather. You kind of want to tag in the B team, so to speak, right? Which means if you're playing like the mini, or let's see, we just had the mini, right? Last year, I guess it was Mega then Mini. Now they're doing Mini then Mega. The direct buy-in was like 1,700 or 1,400, I forget, 16 somewhere. It was like 1,500, right? You blow a couple 1,400 bullets, now you're kind of hurting. Hey, how about for the next week we do some low buy-in $400 one days and let the rest of the people who didn't play this thing have their chance, and we rest up for a week, we hang out with the family, we touch grass, and then we come back at it, right? Because last year it said a 400K guarantee and it only got to a 458K prize pool roughly. I've noticed other series they do after the Mega or after the Mini, they'll have like 1 or 2 weeks sometimes of just one days where no buy-ins more than 600. Yeah, this was it last year. 452K was the prize pool, and Vong Do won that one, so he looks like he chopped it. Good on that. But yeah, a lot of times they have more break between them, and this time they didn't. It's just bang 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 Mini, and then the very next week the Classic, and the very next week now we have the Mega. So I mean, I can attest if you're bricking all of those, which I essentially have, it kind of hurts. You're not really excited to go for the next one, the next one, the next one. So if you're kind of just looking at the schedule and picking which ones, or if you've just got a life, you got a family, you might say, hey guys, look, how about I play these two and I'll take this week off, right? And to someone else's point, it's spring break around here, so spring break's happening too. Be like, oh, that's great. I'll take that week off. It's a small event. I won't play it, and I'll play the
So
mega
it's
or maybe play the mini, and we'll do spring break that week because that's when you're off. All these
it's
things.
interesting. Like for me, I'm I was like so happy with the schedule because of the back-to-backs. I guess everyone has their own thing about it. I also, I think I've been no secret that I don't love the one days. So it was like I was really happy with the schedule with all these like big majors basically all the way through.
Yeah, but to my point, the thing is, the
Yeah,
big
but there
majors, they
there's
are all the
fatigue.
same audience,
There's
right?
yeah,
So
there's fatigue for
and
sure.
most people are losing in an event, so to lose the same audience losing every week is it does tire you out. And when you go from like a 1500 or the Mega Millions is what is it a 3K this year or 2800? What's the Mega Millions this year? Whatever it is, it's
35, I think.
35. Yeah, that's pretty significantly different than a 600 or a 400, right? So
Yeah.
it's a different audience. I mean, really, it's a different crowd. It gives you a chance to refresh, do whatever you want, whatever. If it's whether it's go play cash games to get your money back, or work for 2 weeks and just earn your paycheck so that it doesn't feel like you're draining. So
Yeah, Troy's on the same page. I mean, those one days, man, they're just brutal. I mean,
yeah, but at the same point, Troy, I mean, if they had a 3K every weekend all month, you probably wouldn't play them all, especially if you brick the first two and a half or three of them, right? You might take a week off. So
somebody should actually take a video of me and Ty like at different tables playing the one day because Ty's sitting there joking around, drinking beers, everyone at the table's laughing, and I'm just sitting there holding my head in my hands like this the entire time.
especially if it's an afternoon one after a day two bust out. Uh,
Yeah. Oh
I no
yeah.
one shouts for happy
Yesterday,
hour louder than me after a bust out when there's like a 250 at night. I'm like, all right, this is it.
yeah, especially if I'm throwing a tilt ball, that's something that's even worse.
buckle up, buckle up.
Yeah.
I'm all in before I even get to my seat. And then I tend to final table those ones, right? The last one I final tabled was one of
Right.
those final night tilt
Right.
bullets. Uh, All right. So yeah, you guys in the chat, and hey, if you're watching this, leave us comments down in the comments if there's something we haven't talked about, or if you also hate the double bag bonuses, and tell us why. Give us some real feedback. If you give us the more constructive you can make your feedback, we pass that on. These guys watch. These guys watch the show. Todd watched the show. Kevin watches the show. These guys are all in there. Obviously, Jeff checks out the show. Larry watches the show. So if you got good feedback, if you give good information, we pass it on. They're watching, they're hearing. So get in there. Let us know. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, and the last. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I honestly think I don't think quantums are going away anytime soon, and I'm pretty sure that, it's not just specific people at the bike pushing for it, but I'm pretty sure everyone at the bike is very nervous about getting rid of the quantums because they are their cash cows, right? And the last thing we want to do is to have the bike, not focus on poker tournaments as much as they have. So this is the thing that's a little bit sort of a double-edged sword about like, support the quantums because we need the bike to keep running poker tournaments, but then the quantums are obviously, I think, um, maybe having some harmful effects right across the poker ecosystem. But I would like to say that if we were to get rid of quantums, it's going to be a little bit like a stock market crash and a reset. Where let's just imagine that in '08 we didn't bail out all the banks and let things like kind of naturally come back, in a healthy way, we would have had a much healthier system. It's kind of like that. You just need um to sort of to have an operation, get this thing out of there, and then when we have just normal tournaments back, you might see a little bit of depressed attendance. But then as people learn that, hey, there are normal tournaments again at the bike, maybe they'll all start, now all of a sudden that wider net of people will start showing up, and then maybe the 1K will start getting like a million or $1.2 million within a year or two, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point, I mean, when we have the circuit main events, right? They have not had any trouble breaking a million, or in the case of the May one, which is coming up, 2 million when you get some out of towners in, right?
Yep.
And that's really the holy grail is out of towners. So on that point, one other thing that was brought up is that there was another large series happening this weekend, and people were out of town, which when you're talking about a tournament that barely makes the guarantee like this, 20 people make a big difference, especially if it's, as we were pointing out, if it's 20 people that'll fire multiple bullets, you could be talking about 40, 50K out of your prize pool because of that. So same way with not having the, with people not playing because of double bag bonus, like if 15, 20 people go to the Sherpo here over in Florida, that could represent another 50K. So I kind of just want to bring this up to sort of point out, like, the way they do their tournaments and the way a lot of other people do, let's just take a look and compare and see, because they don't seem to be, I could be wrong, but I'm thinking they don't seem to have the same problem. And, there's one really big difference between the Sherpo schedule here and, like a schedule like this at the bike, which is they have out-of-towners coming in droves, right?
And
I mean,
people flying across the country to go there.
Yeah, so that is the holy grail, right? Getting out-of-towners in.
Yeah. And I don't think their big main gets as big as it used to, but it's still like really massive.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's I did this analysis a year ago. Like Florida's population is like a third or less of SoCal, so
Yeah.
it's not a people thing.
Yep. So, and they follow the formula of, kind of more or less ramping up the buy-ins as the series goes on. Like they kick it off with a big $1 million guarantee, $400 buy-in, which is really cool. This is probably their equivalent of a quantum. I wouldn't even be surprised if they have some kind of double bag thing or something to encourage, but maybe they don't. That goes on for a while, and then, the buy-ins hover around 300, 600. They randomly have this 1K black chip bounty thing, but they kind of top out at 1K. That's PLO. Mixed games are their own thing, right? Kind of top out there. They have this guy, a Saturday, Monday 1K, but that is a lower guarantee. All right. So they do have some outliers here, which is interesting. But really, for the most part, these are $300, $600, $200 events. And then they ramp up towards the main event, kind of like we talked about the other week. Now we have a lot more 1Ks happening here. Now we have a lot more flights for this 1K here. Then we ramp up into 10K event, a 10K event, 10K events, 2,000, 2K events, the main event, 3,500, right? And these are all clustered here. And they get to do that because people travel to here. Yeah. To your point, there's not as many people there in Florida. So what? Just 4 times percentage-wise people in Florida play poker, tournament poker? No, people travel here, right? So we have by far more actual people who will play these tournaments. You just got to get them motivated, and then you just have to get people from out of town, right? The big percentages are the people out of town. So in this event,
I did a literal presentation on this
a
year ago, and I published it everywhere.
Was it a year or 2 years ago now?
Was it 2 years ago?
I don't know.
2 years ago.
It's close, probably a year and a half ago. It was we've been doing this a while now.
Somebody listen to me.
Right? So you got to get the people from out of town in. We've got, like, this event we just had, though, right? This event we just had, it had 510 players. Number of uniques, what do you think, like 300 uniques, something like that? Probably less, maybe even a little less. If you can just add another 300 people to travel into town from out of town, you're talking about $1 million prize pool, right? 300 isn't a lot of people. That's not many people at all. So
yeah, we basically just use the other casinos 1Ks as the measuring stick of what's possible, and they're showing you what's possible at 1 point. What was the Commerce one? 1.6.
The Commerce one, our Commerce. So that was a great thing. The Commerce Classic. Really, there's a small number of out of towners, but most of the out of towners came from Vegas. Not even that far. It's not even that hard to get them, and it was over 1.6. It might have been 1.7. Right. It was bigger just for 2 years in a row. The 1K had a bigger prize pool than the 10K.
Right, that's the number. That's the bar. And I feel like that's low. It's still low. Yeah. It's still low for LA. LA should be 3 mil, easy.
All right, that would be crazy. If you get 3 mil for a 1K without doing 2 weeks a day ones, that would be amazing.
We have the biggest poker market. Like Vegas right now is still the biggest because of all the big major casinos. So we have the biggest population of any metropolitan area that has card rooms. Right,
for sure.
It's not even close.
Yeah, for sure. We should be the best poker market. Definitely, right. We should definitely be. Right. To Troy's point, the bike should become the main attraction. I mean, when it had the WPT, right, it was popping. The Legends WPT was amazing. I didn't get to play it, but I was there once, I think, in the room when it was still happening, and it was packed, right? This is the kind of thing, the kind of excitement we need to have. Let's see, here we go. Kingston Hanks, LA Best Poker. Yeah, we have the best poker community with best. Yeah, that's why we're doing this. And yeah, Brad, twice, 2 years in a row now, that 1K's been bigger than the 10K prize pool wise. You know?
Yeah, that
Um,
that is there's the true main event for the APC.
yeah, it is essentially because it's the only one with a guarantee. They haven't put really a guarantee on the other thing those other years. The 10K
Yeah.
hasn't had a guarantee the last 2 years.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, guys? Anything else about this particular? Any other reasons you didn't play, or any other reasons we missed? I was still in middle
Yeah,
school, says Troy.
yeah. Just another like PSA, like Jeff Thompson is the kind of I don't say new, but he's sort of like the
He's
lead,
like the heir
I guess,
apparent, I
tournament.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah, the tournament director there now. Very, very easy to talk to, very approachable, absolutely listens to the feedback. So go talk to him, hit him up on Twitter. I feel like his Twitter account is insultingly, like his follower count is insultingly low.
Yeah.
Make sure that you're following Jeff because like all the updates, number one, are being posted on
Yep.
his Twitter account anyway. But you should be following the guy because you can always reach out to him
For
and
sure.
give him your 2 cents about whatever.
Yep. And look, if you're listening out there, Jeff, right, and Bike, I feel like just what Derek said before, I really want to second that. Like what we're saying is you really are focused on the vertical or the loyal customers and loyal players, which is great. But I think these quantums make it so hard to expand to people who would travel. I think so few people want to travel for a quantum because it's too complicated. They don't get it. They don't want to come early to play the early day flights, and then the ones that would travel can understand, hey, that money's coming out. That makes me turned off a little bit. So it's really a double-edged sword, like Derek said. It's so complicated and it's so local. It kind of makes it more insular, and it really makes it hard to market outside of here. So without someone like the WPT coming in and giving you a big splash, man, we really think you could be it, just like Troy is saying, or that you should be it. You should be the main attraction, right? You should be a big deal, but it's so hard to sell that quantum outside of LA.
A really good signal for you is the first time the bike had a $2 million quantum, a ton of Vegas pros came out. That was the one you remember where like every single Vegas pro came out here, and all of a sudden none of them ever came back. You know why? Because they got tricked, and then they didn't realize how much was taken out of the prize pool for all the day one payouts. And when they found out, they're like, "Oh, that's what we're playing for on day two. That's not $2 million," and they didn't come back. Right? So there was just that like that's a type of social capital, or I don't know what you want to call it, right? That gets burned.
Yeah, and people who come just for that day two buy-in, if they don't understand what's going on, there's a lot of feel bads built into a quantum,
Yeah,
right?
right, right.
Cashing for a third
And
of your buy-in is a feel bad. Only being
it
able to
feels
buy
it,
in
it
for 2 hours when you're used to being able to buy in for 6 hours, right, is a feel
yeah,
bad.
the prize pool feels like a bait and switch, to be honest with you.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was big, Troy. Derek's not saying it wasn't big. People did show up, but what he's saying is they haven't been coming back necessarily for the other quantums because they'd
Yeah,
say, hey, there's a
it was
different tournament, and that one's not as exciting as it sounds.
it was like a who's who of Vegas pros, like people that you see on TV all the time. I was just we and Ty were like, what the fuck are all these people doing here? And it's because of that big
Right.
$2 million
Yeah,
like
we
prize
played. You
pool,
and I
right?
played with Jesse Lonis and Chino
Yeah,
Reem and
right. Yeah,
some two other pros, right? And
David Peters, like so many
yep,
people showed up, and then
yeah,
they never came back,
they're
right?
like, hey,
And
I'd rather play Poker Go Studio. Or I'd rather play this other one because that 2 million. It's not what it's like. You said it's not. It's not actually 2 million, and I
it's
don't
not
want to
actually
do the
2 million.
math to figure out what it is. And the
Right,
3K, my value isn't. I can't calculate my value the
right.
normal way as a 3K doing this thing. And like,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely take those signals seriously.
yep. All right. So let's move on to some other goofy, just quick hits, some fun things. So we've got Mr. Brad Nesser in the chat. He's been watching the pod for a while. He's part of the what is that, the WPT stream team that Kevin was promoting and doing a part of. So Brad is a streamer, a Twitch streamer, and he has a nice little following. He has asked us to come on the show and be interviewed. So we will be the ones being interviewed coming up here. And you can catch us this Thursday night on Brad's Twitch stream. So go over there, check that out. He's Brad Braulio84, Brad Nesser on Twitch, and you will be seeing links from us in our socials, and come and hang out with us there. You'll get to hear us chatting, and you'll get to hear more about us again on Thursday night. Right. So he's part of the Club WPT Stream Team family. So that's pretty cool. Thank you, Brad. We're looking forward to that. Aside from that, guys, if you haven't been following Derek's 10-minute poker tips, head on over there. I think we have a link in the description. If not, we'll put it in there. Make sure you head on over there, give him a sub. He's been basically, he's calling it 10-minute poker tips, but they're really like, 10-minute mini interviews with all the poker folks that you might want to talk to. So this latest one up there had a nice chat with Mr. Salzberg. We had him on the show here before, but he gave him a little more room to spread his wings and talk more about the crossover between the writing and the entertainment industry and poker. So head on over there, check that out. And then also other local content creators. I saw Mr. Jason Gallagher, Mr. The Vegas Nerve has a new episode out. He took a trip down to the Lodge in Austin. I need to get down there still. I want to get there before someone ruins it all. Super sounds like fun action. Sounds like a cool place. I'll get there someday. If not there, at least like Dallas and something. Do the TCH. Got to get there. Sounds like so. Go check that video out. His videos are always really well edited. Tell a good story, and he's really cool. Really cool follow. And then the last one is there is a shout out. I'm giving a shout out to the Poker Project. It's a young fella from, I believe, England who I met up at the Venetian playing, splashing around in the 1-3 cash game there. I think I was in between a day 1 and a day 2, so I was blasting off as, kind of as Derek described, having a few drinks and playing the 1-3 game there. I was having a really good day when I met him too. I think I just scooped this. If you haven't gone to the Venetian, they do the double board bomb pots every dealer change, and when I went a month and a half ago, it was still just a field of dreams, man. I won in this 300 cap 1-3 game. I won, and I didn't even win the main pot, mind you. There was a main pot for another $500. I won a $1,400 side pot in the double board PLO bomb pot, playing up there in the 1-3 game. It's $300 cap. So it was a good day. I was crushing that day, and I got into a couple hands with this fella. Unfortunately, he didn't capture all of my chatter with him. I think in all the hands we played, I was telling him what he had and telling him what he was going to do or what I thought he had and playing. And, some spicy ones in there. It turns out I got him to fold kings in the first hand we played, and it was, never even, there was an ace on board, but like he literally just check folded. It was like, I blasted pot on him, I guess, but whatever. So go ahead, check out his latest episode. He's got the editing's really good. And he was a cool guy to play with. So shout out to the Poker Project. All right. Well, that is about that. I think it's time to figure out what we are going to be doing this weekend. What do you think?
Yeah, let's get to the roundup.
Let's do it. That is the wrong button. All right. As we've been talking, it is the last real week of the Mega Millions. So the winning on the green, so that's the other thing. People will call the series the Mega Millions because that's that's the marquee event. Marketing tip. The Mega Millions 28 is going on all week. Day 1 flights have already started, as we talked about. They will be going on all week, and that's pretty much the only thing happening at the bike. There will be 3 flights: the $600 flight where 12% get in, the $300 flight where 12% cash and 6% get in, and the Mega Satellites at night. And just like we predicted and told you guys about last show, the afternoon satellites for the Parkwest Classic were overlaying. All right, so especially that Thursday one, I believe that overlaid by 5 players maybe. So there's definitely some money potentially in some of these satellites. So get at it, get in there. If you want to play this Mega Millions, those are going on all week. Capping off with the day 2s on Sunday and Monday, and they have a $3,500 direct buy. This is the 28th one of these they've done, so you should be used to the routine by now. So I know Derek will be in there firing away. I don't think you bagged last week, right? Sunday? No?
I fired 1 bullet. I was just say I fired 1 bullet and I didn't make it.
All right. I actually won't be firing this one. I cannot play on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever days during the week. I gotta be at the day job next week, so I will not be firing the Mega Millions. So good luck to all of you who are.
Yeah, but definitely the Mega's the biggest thing in town, obviously. So I think that's why I've been saying what the double-edged sword is. Even if you dislike the quantums, if you dislike the double bags, There's very little things you're gonna get in terms of value. Like, yes, you're probably gonna have to fire a couple of bullets at this to kind of get through, but $600 or $1.5 million prize pool is ridiculous, right? And even if the prize pool ends up being like 1.2 or something on day two, that's still really massive. So fantastic value. Also, if you played these before, you know the day twos tend to be extremely soft with the people that get through. So it's a fantastic value for a tournament. So definitely get out there and play it.
Right, right. If you can get the days off in the middle of the week, because
Yes.
remember,
Yes.
day 3 is on Tuesday.
Yep.
No, yeah, Tuesday. Day 4 is on Wednesday, and the final
Yep.
table is often on Thursday. So
Yep.
just be
It
ready.
does. It does run all the way through. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, so I won't be able to fire that one. Good luck to all. They will be having a super stack on Tuesday of next week. That's at noon, and they will also be having a high roller, a 5K high roller, on Tuesday next week as well. So it'll be interesting to see if they tempt you into that, Derek, because it's probably going to be less than 30 players, I would imagine. So
I don't even think they'll get third. That's crazy, 5K.
yeah. Well, we'll
I'd be
see.
interested to see what happens because basically it's Monday is the day to be.
Monday's 2B, Tuesday's day 3.
Yeah.
So they're looking for people to bust out of day 3 or have played the other two and bricked and coming back for something to do.
You know what would have been interesting is if they ran the high roller at like 4 p.m. on Monday and let you reg still on Tuesday
Hmm.
morning.
Interesting. Yeah,
That's probably what they should have done.
we'll have to see. I know that I think Ostapchenko was giving them some feedback on it, maybe the structure.
Uh,
So you'll have to chime in. They try and run it
yeah, you
again.
know what? I'll shoot Jeff a text to see if he'll consider that because that probably would do a little bit better.
Yeah, maybe too late to change it now, but for next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are all subject to change. I think they literally say that
Yeah,
on the
they do.
sheet.
They do.
So, in order to make sure that high roller actually goes off, you might want to make the change I just said. Yeah.
Potentially, yeah, for sure. Because I mean, they do things like that at the circuit high rollers and
Yeah.
and other such. All right. So over at Commerce, they're running their regular daily schedule. So the highlights of this, of course, are the Saturday 200 or 25,000 guaranteed that has been beating 40K pretty reliably last few weeks, and with the Mega Millions happening this weekend, I have to think it's going to do that or better this week. So that's where I'll be on Saturday. Not sure about the other days. There is actually a very real chance that on those other days, I will go and maybe I'll play some cash like on purpose for the first time in a long time because
Nice.
they have free rolls. They have these hour free roll challenges going on at Commerce. So I think it only takes 50 hours of cash to qualify for the tournament. And, you know, that could be doable. There's kind of a lull coming up, especially for bigger events and bigger, more interesting tournaments locally here. So maybe I can rack up a couple hours this month. So maybe I'll go over there and play cash on purpose for the first time in quite a while. All right. Other events. Other events happening, the weekend events here at Hollywood Park. So this weekend on, here we go. They are going to be doing their regular 20K Friday TGIF bounty. Saturday and Sunday will be their normal 10K bankroll builders. The rest of their events seem pretty regular here. At the end of the month, reminder, for 27, they'll be doing their 50K Sunday special. I kind of wish they were doing it this weekend to give me something to do, but I understand. That 27th does seem to be a big gap in the tournament schedule around LA. So remember, guys, when there's no series going on, because the Garden series is only 1 week, and we're waiting for the Gardens. Did I say the Gardens already? When we're waiting for the circuit to start, this was sort of an off weekend. So this 50K Sunday special might be the only good big thing, the biggest thing in town that week. All right. So over to the Gardens. They are still running their dailies, and all of their dailies are still pretty decent. So they're kind of still running on auto. They're running just how they used to run. And they're getting a decent turnout from what I hear. They're getting maybe 40 fewer entries than they used to get, but that's still a lot. They used to crush it, absolutely destroy it. So getting 40 fewer entries is still very good. And then right after the Winning on the Green ends, will begin their SoCal special spring special schedule here, which we went over the other week. We'll talk about it again next week, but it's a series of one-day events with a added to the pot amount. So very exciting. These will amount to very low, cheap rake or even rake back if they were really low. But if they hit the guarantees, these will still it won't be pure rake back or 100% rake back, but it will be a very, very, basically means very, very, very low rake tournaments. So that's awesome. All right. Other places happening. Lucky Lady. Lucky Lady does not have anything too special going on, I believe, but hopefully their boss tournament will fire this weekend. If you're interested in that, you may want to send a tweet or a direct message to Sean Yu before you go, since apparently he runs that event, if that's something you're interested in. But other than that, they are just doing the regular. And in fact, on April 27th, Lucky Lady is also doing a larger than normal tournament. So you can start at Hollywood Park, and if you bust out of there, you can go to Commerce if you're fast enough. And if you're not fast enough, you can go to Lucky Lady and play there. And Lucky Lady is much closer to Hollywood Park than Commerce and the rest. So you may just want to go over there. That might be what to do on Sunday the 27th, to be honest. All right. 5K buy-in, 100K. Troy is laughing. Wait, did they even have a guarantee on it? I didn't think it had a guarantee, the high roller. Yeah, the high roller doesn't have a guarantee. What are you talking about, 5K, 100K, Troy? All right, well, that is all we got for the weekend, man. It might actually be a somewhat lighter weekend for me. Now, I don't know, maybe I'll play way too much cash, and that's why, remind myself why I quit. But yeah, I might just take a little bit of a breather this week since I can't play the Mega really.
Yeah, some beer, order some good food,
Oh
fries,
yeah,
or whatever, and just
that's one of the best parts about the Commerce tournaments is right around when Reg ends is when happy hour starts. All right. For those of you going to the Mega and that have that time, you'll be seeing Derek, you'll be seeing Frank and all the rest of the crew there. And for those of you playing the 1 days, I will see you over there at Commerce. Anything else? Any closing thoughts?
No, definitely, yeah, making out to the Mega. It's going to be a good one. Big prize pool. Lots of people. Soft day 2, and hopefully we'll see you at my table. We'll battle a little bit.
Yep. Look, guys, the secret to beating Derek is just jam on him. Just jam on him. He's so unlucky when you jam pre-flop. Like, don't play the hand with him. Just jam on him. He can't win.
Whatever we get it in with your 70-30, believe me.
All right, guys. All right, everyone in the chat, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, remember, hit that subscribe, hit that like. We will see you. And if you tune in, if you have time on Thursday night, I believe around 8:30, tune in to Brad's Twitch channel. Check us out there, and we will see you.